Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications.
Well, I hope you're having a great June the 17th. And it is my fondest wish that humanity is just a little bit, more evolved than it was 24 hours ago at this time. Don't know if that's true or not, but you never know. All right. Now, I do have some questions to cover in this video, and I'm always very appreciative of those who take the time to actually write in questions or even comments. And if you would like to ask a question, you can always email me at searchforsigns@mail.com, or probably the better thing to do is just post your question as a comment. And in the next video, I usually answer that question, or at least try to answer that question. Now, I do want to make an announcement before I start that last week I started a Facebook page. And since then, I put up videos of some of the miracles that we've been talking about over the past few months on this channel. And as of right now, the videos that I've been putting up are from the people who are putting up those videos, and the people in those videos either don't know anything about this information, or I would probably be willing to bet you they don't agree with any of this information. So you can get somebody else's view of these miracles. Like, for instance, Maitreya, she's in one of the videos that I put up. 32 years ago last week, Maitreya actually visited her congregation in Nairobi, Kenya. Appeared out of the blue, miracles all over the place, healings, that kind of thing. She talks about it in this video. I think that she had heard that there are people like Benjamin Creme who were saying it was Maitreya that visited her. She is totally convinced it was Jesus, and does not believe in Maitreya, does not believe in any of this information at all. I'm sure she wants peace and justice, but she's working with the masters in her own way, because Maitreya does heal through her and overshadow her in a way so she can see what somebody's issues are, and health issues and so forth, so he can heal through her and that kind of thing. So she's working with him some kind of way, but she thinks she's hearing it through Jesus, Jesus's thoughts and words and stuff. And as George Costanza said in the TV show Seinfeld, it's not a lie if you believe it. But, according to Benjamin Creme, it was Maitreya who actually appeared to her. But like I said, she thinks it's Jesus. And then there are people who are talking about the healing waters and so forth, and they don't know why they're healing the way that they are, but they're just talking about it. So you can kind of get a different viewpoint of it, of the same, miracle. But I think these miracles are linked. And I think they're pointing to the fact that Maitreya is the one awaited by all the world's religions, and is a world teacher for the whole world, really. But for those even who don't have a religious background, and is here now. So hopefully that helps. All right. First question. Is Maitreya immortal? Well, Peter, yes, he is. Maitreya created his body. It's called a Mahavarupa. And he did it not long before he actually left his abode in the Himalayas and then entered London. This was back in 1977. He took some of the qualities from the Buddha, some of his own qualities, and he made, whiz bang boomo, he made this Mahavarupa. This body is able to be at our low level, but yet sensitive enough to bring in all his higher consciousness and all these higher energies that are coming through him. It's quite an extraordinary vehicle, and from what I understand, it's one of a kind. It's never been done before. Now, the higher energies that are flowing through him are not only his own energies, but also there are two great beings that aren't even able to live in our solar system, not because they're outlaws, but because they're so freaking evolved that they can't even be on any of the planets in our solar system. They're somewhere else. They actually overshadow Maitreya the same way that Maitreya overshadowed Jesus 2,000 years ago. That close. And that they have that kind of close relationship with Maitreya. So their energies, their qualities are flowing through him at a tremendous rate and flowing out into humanity, and already have been having an effect on humanity for decades now, since they've been doing this. The first great being, his name is the spirit of peace and equilibrium, because that's the closest that you can describe his qualities. That great being is what's causing the divisions that we're seeing in the world today. The divisions between right and left politics, between conservative and Republican or liberal thinking, between capitalists and environmentalists, between racial divisions, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. In almost every area of human endeavor, there's divisions, right? Divisions of thought, divisions of qualities of people and so forth. And it seems like the world is just breaking up, right? Well, it's a direct result of this being's energy. Now, it is the spirit of peace and equilibrium. So it's not the spirit of division, it's the spirit of peace and equilibrium. So eventually that same energy that's causing all the divisions is going to cause it to swing back the other way very, very rapidly to where we will see peace and equilibrium. So it's just the temporary time that we're having to experience this very uncomfortable process is my point. The next avatar that flows its energy through him is the avatar of synthesis, okay, which thus its name is apropos. But according to Benjamin Creme's master, this great being's will and purpose, whatever it happens to be, there isn't a single roadblock or obstacle that can withstand its energy. So its purpose is synthesis. Therefore, there isn't anything in this planet that's going to be able to withstand it. And it will go right through, to quote one of our president's most recent comments about the protest, right? It can go right through any obstacle like a knife through butter. But it's impossible to withstand the energy of this great being. But it will bring about synthesis on this planet. So now Maitreya will be a central figure in the life of humanity for the next 2,500 years. And we all will have to, get older and pass away, come back in another incarnation as a child, have to relearn everything again, hopefully on a higher rung of the ladder, hopefully as myself have a fuller head of hair, and then eventually pass away and then come back and so forth. And we'll do that many times over the next 2,500 years of this age of Aquarius. Maitreya will be here the whole time and won't look like he's aged a day. Every one of these masters is immortal, really. But they can choose to be born the same, in the normal way and live for a certain amount of time, go out of incarnation, come back in incarnation. But even great masters like Sai Baba, who passed away not too long ago, he only did that as a form of service. He could be living in the same body and not age a day for hundreds of thousands of years if he chose to do. But because he was dealing with humanity directly and very openly, he chose to be born in a way. He was a baby, he became a young man, he became an adolescent, a young adult, and so forth, middle-aged, eventually elderly, and passed away. But that was because he chose to do it as a form of service, not because he had to, like you or I have to live a life. So, and then to respond to the reply that somebody replied to this question, yes, the soul is immortal. That's the whole point. That's what Maitreya is going to be teaching us over the next 2,500 years, is how to identify with us as souls, our true nature, which is immortal. We identify with the personality and the physical body. Even if we have an inkling or an idea or about the concept of being souls, we truly are not identifying with it, or we would be living life far differently than we are today. That's every one of us. But eventually, over the next age, we will start to more and more identify with us being souls and not personalities. So, but the soul is what's permanent. That is for sure. Alrighty. Next question. How can it be said that Jesus would make war and take slaves and have sex with 9-year-old girls as it does in the Quran? Does it say it in the Quran? I don't know. I'm not an expert on the Quran, Peter. I am more of an expert on the Bible. I know there's a lot of my fundamentalist Christian brethren would really not agree with me when I said that based on what their comments are. But there's just as much distortion in the Quran as there is in the Bible. It was put in there by man to serve their own needs. And things were taken out of the Bible. And I'm going to relate it back to the Bible. Things were taken out of the Bible that didn't serve their needs, and then they would insert things that just suited them just fine. So to say that the Quran is pure in the form that it was written, given from Jesus to Muhammad, 1,500 years ago or whatever it was, to say that it's in the same, pure form as it was then, it's just not true. Same thing as the Bible, right? But all those things that you said, from marrying underage girls to slavery to making war, that's all in the Bible too. Was that written in there by God, or was that put in there more by man? And then even some of the things that were probably said by Jesus, people, because they wanted to interpret what he says to justify their evils. Woe are those who see good as evil and evil good. And it really is, that is what I think that biblical saying was about, not about some antichrist figure that people keep putting back up on my channel as comments, like, whoa, or, at the end times, woe, be seen as, or yeah, they put it, at the end times, it was predicted in the Bible, the end times, evil will be seen as good and good evil. No, that's pretty much every time. And it's been like this throughout the course of human history, right? But how many people in the United States 100 or so years ago looked at their own biblical texts based off of a loving being like Jesus and had it justify slavery? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could argue that all day long. And how many people, even to this day, believe we should attack this country and bomb the crap out of that country and use shock and awe in that country, but yet call themselves Christian? Or people who read the Bible every day and yet allow millions of people to die every year of hunger. I mean, it's all distortion, and it's all distortion based on man, not based on how it was given to the very, very high disciple that wrote it down or spoke it, and then other people wrote it down, like in the case of Jesus. So, like I said, that's kind of like a non-issue as far as I'm concerned. So, but anyway, but I appreciate you asking that question, that's for sure. Flipping photos. Divinity is here on earth. Yes, it is. That's for sure. The sign is there. You must know what you are looking for. Is there? How much true searching are you doing? Well, just because I named this channel Search for Signs doesn't mean I don't think that divinity isn't here on earth. That's for sure. All right. So, I don't know. All right. Next question. All right. Any chance of any women becoming masters? No, whatsoever. No, I'm just kidding. Jennifer, right now, all the masters are in male bodies on this planet. Okay, I'm just referring to this planet. I'm sure on other planets like Venus and Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, there are probably 50-50, right? Now, there's an energetic reason why these masters have chosen to use, and use male bodies instead of being in a female body. Apparently, it helps to ground their energy better. Now, they could still do it if they were in a female body. It would just be harder for them to do. But for right now, it's better for them to be in a male body. Okay, that's the best way I can explain it based on somebody who knows little or nothing about what they're talking about. Okay, now, just looking into the future. Okay, the master who was the Madonna, who is out of incarnation right now, will be when this master comes back in incarnation, will be the first female master. Okay, and that will be in a few hundred years from now. After she does that, more and more masters will start to take female bodies. And then there'll be more and more female masters, and then it'll eventually be about 50-50. But these masters, just like you or I, have all been men and women so many times over the course of our incarnational experiences. To say that, they identify more with men than women is just not true. It's an energetic thing. It's not a sexist, misogynistic thing. But yes, there will be a chance that women will be masters for sure. But like I said, it won't be for a few hundred years from now. So even disciples like Helena Blavatsky, okay, who's now probably a master, just became a master because she reincarnated in the 80s, reincarnated as a boy, and then, like I said, is probably a master now. So hopefully that answers that question. All right, lastly, Ann with an E. And Ann, I always say I like your YouTube name. That's kind of funny. Why don't you just tell us where we can see him on TV? I think we can support and spread word. It seems like a tease. Well, Ann, I'm not trying to tease you. I can assure you that. I'm also not trying to sell you on anything or even convince you of anything. I am just giving out information that's come my way for you to consider, for yourself. You can either take it for truth or not, or whatever. I'm not even telling you, oh, believe me when I tell you this, believe me. Have I tried to convince you like that? No, of course not. It's not my job to do that. Now, my intention of doing these YouTube videos in the way that I'm doing them, to be honest, is really not for repeated listeners. And it's more so for people who have never heard this information to find this information on YouTube and then to start doing their own research by going to, looking at Benjamin Creme videos, for instance, or hopefully seeking out his literature, his books, and then ideally applying that information in some form of service in some way. Okay. Now the other thing is, even if it's just one person, right, who it would make it easier for them to recognize Maitreya on TV and recognize his priorities and have more of a heartfelt response to what he's saying, then I will be overjoyed if that's true, if that happens. Also, there are people who really are against what I'm saying and hate me for it, right? And if some possible way, by them just getting it out of their system, when they see Maitreya on TV, they have a little bit more of an open mind about what he's saying, I'll be just as satisfied about that too, if that ever happens. But so a lot of times I keep repeating the same information in a different way, and it's not like I'm trying to tease anybody. It's not like I'm trying to bait anybody on. It's really because I'm trying to speak to new listeners, really is what it is. Now, if I'm not discouraging people from coming back to my channel, believe me, if that's something you want to do, then do it, right? Especially hearing Benjamin Creme's Master's article, you can always learn something from that. But it really doesn't mean much unless you do something with it. Now, in terms of supporting and spreading the word, that's for you to do. If you or anybody else tells somebody else about Maitreya, then you're helping humanity, right? But that's your call. It's not anything that I can prove or do to get you to do it, really. Now, also, in terms of why I'm not telling everybody where he is on TV, for one, I don't know if I've seen him on TV yet, because I don't really go scouring the TV and the internet trying to find him. I might have seen him, I might not have, right? Now, I would like to think if I could hear him, I could recognize him, but I don't know, Now, here's the thing. I do know some people who have seen him on TV, but they're not telling me, and I haven't asked them where they thought he was on TV. But, it's just, it's up to, for them to see him and recognize him, and then it'll be up for me to see him and recognize him. But it's very, very important, and with an E, and everybody is listening to this, if you do recognize him, or when you recognize him on TV, before he's declared himself as Maitreya, to even say anything to anybody about that. If somebody asks you, I saw this guy on TV, seems quite extraordinary. Is that Maitreya? Is that who you think? The best thing to do is just to ask him, what do you think? And have the patience and the self-restraint to not say anything. If I told people who he was on TV, like if I knew his name on TV and I said, oh, that's so-and-so, that's him, or that's not him, that's this guy, or whatever, I would be robbing you of the spiritual gift of recognizing Maitreya for yourself. And so all the times that I've seen Maitreya in my own life, I had to recognize him first and then ask Ben. Ben never came to me and told me, oh, that guy was Maitreya. It's more important for me to recognize it for myself. So it'd be the same thing on TV, probably even more so on TV. So Benjamin Creme always advised everybody who knew this information to not say anything about it. And I'm sure I'm going to be continuing to do these videos for some time to come, okay? I'm also sure that when people start to recognize him more and more on TV, I will start to be asked that question. And then I will immediately take that post down. And then, if somebody asks me point blank in my life, like my mother said to me one time, she goes, well, if you see him on TV, or if I see him on TV, and you better tell me. I was like, no, I'm not going to tell you. Even my mother, even my own mother, I will not tell. Okay? So it's very, very, very important to not tell anybody. Now, the way to support Maitreya is to support his priorities, which above all is peace. you know, before I knew anything about this information, Anne, I wanted peace. But it wasn't until I heard Maitreya's simple solution. Without sharing, there could be no justice. Without justice, there could be no peace. Without peace, there could be no future. It wasn't until I heard that I didn't really get into this information. So all these videos that I've done, all the other things that I've done, the transmission meditation and everything are based off of that one statement. I want a future for my children and my children's children and my children's children's children and so forth and so forth and so forth. And I do agree, and it resonates with me as truth, that if we don't have peace, we won't have a future for much longer. Okay? So don't wait to recognize Maitreya on TV to support his priorities. It's not so much important to believe this information as it is to want for the world what Maitreya is wanting for the world, which above all is peace. We can't even help the environment the way that we need to until nations start to trust one another. The only way to do that is to create justice. The only way to do that is to take all the resources that are sitting there wasting in excess and give it to those nations that need it. Until that happens, we are in danger of destroying ourselves militarily, but we're also in danger of waiting too long to fix the environment. So it's very important to act, and with a sense of urgency. It's very, very important, as you can see, right? But again, if all it was just somebody just has a little bit more hope even based off this information. So if you told somebody about this, or if they were down about and out about the world, or, oh my God, the government's going to take over, or, the whole world's going to blow itself apart. If by just knowing this and just believing it just a little bit, you share your hope with somebody else, you'll be supporting Maitreya far better than you could possibly imagine. Okay? So hopefully that helps, and hopefully that's put to rest, at least in your mind, that I'm teasing anybody, because that's definitely not what I'm wanting to do. All right, and again, everybody who's asked questions, I do thank you for asking those questions, and I look forward to more questions in the future. Now this, and to hopefully you listen to this Master's article, because it kind of addresses kind of what you're talking about here. It was published in September 2008, and it's entitled See Him and Rejoice. Okay, so like I said, as I read this a few times, I started thinking about what you were asking, and it really kind of addresses a lot of that. All right, many times over the years have I said that Maitreya was emerging soon, and thus has this expectation been kept vividly alive in the hearts of millions. That his full emergence has not yet taken place is not a sign of perfidy on my part, but rather a result of the extraordinary nature and difficulty of this enterprise. Men in general know nothing of the laws which govern such an event, nor of the boundaries to Maitreya's actions which these laws create. Also, we, your elder brothers, work outside and beyond the notion of time, and find difficulty in placing our insights and information before men whose understanding is still governed by the quote-unquote fact of time. Nevertheless, when all is said, this present quote-unquote time should be seen by men as the anteroom in which Maitreya patiently awaits the signal to emerge openly onto the world stage. The present chaotic conditions, especially in the economic and financial fields, have tipped the scales and made possible a decision on a period which men themselves would welcome as quote-unquote soon. It will not be long, therefore, until the great Lord begins his open mission, albeit undeclared. Watch and wait with a sure understanding of his priorities, and so miss him not. How will humanity view this extraordinary man, like none seen in recent memory, yet obviously one of us? How will men respond to the simple truth of his utterance? And how quickly will men respond to his analysis of their plight? It is not possible to know precisely how men will react on first experience of Maitreya. The great Lord will be circumspect and relatively restrained on first appearance, lest he drive away those who need time to evaluate his thoughts and judge their relevance. Soon, however, many will surmise, will gather around him, eager to see adopted the changes he advises. They, in their turn, will stir their brothers and sisters to consider these seminal ideas and to launch a crusade for sanity in world affairs. These ideas, requiring a complete reconstruction of our present way of life, will gradually appear more logical, more practical, and achievable than first they may have seemed. And so a great wave of enthusiasm for sharing and right relationship will sweep across the world. Maitreya himself will potentize these natural stirrings of right thinking among the nations, and will work to foster the growing public yearning for a new direction. Thus will Maitreya work through men to sow the seeds of the new garden. Thus will he engender in men a longing for the real and the true, and for the manifestation of love and justice. In this way does the great Lord serve humanity, showing them the way to live within the spiritual laws. Thus will the Lord of love reveal himself to men as a brother, a friend, a wayshower, a traveler like them on the way. See him soon, then, and rejoice. Join his ranks and serve. Awaken through him to your divinity.
Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.